The biggest thing that the late Kobe Bryant has always been appreciated for by fans is his toughness and willingness to play through injuries. Speaking during his induction into the Hall of Fame, his wife Vanessa revealed a touching story that spoke volumes about the lengths Bryant would go to for his fans.
People don't know this, but one of the reasons my husband played through injuries and pain was because he said he remembered being a little kid, sitting in the nosebleeds with his dad to watch his favorite player play. I remember asking him why he couldn't just sit a game out because he was hurting. He said, "What about the fans that saved up to watch me play just once?" He never forgot about his fans. If he could help it, he would play every minute of every game. He loved you all so much.
Kobe Bryant has always been lauded for his insane mentality. There have been times when most players in the league would take some time off, but not Bryant. It's no surprise that he played all 82 games of the regular season 4 times in his career. If he wasn't injury-prone at times, Kobe might have accomplished that feat at least a couple of more times. The NBA exists to make money by entertaining. Every dollar Adam Silver makes, like every dollar LeBron James makes, comes from the same seed. Millions of people are captivated enough with the NBA to watch it on TV or buy a ticket, when they could be watching thousands of other things, or going outside and touching grass. When stars don't play, grass gets more appealing. So now, the NBA approved a new player participation policy, or PPP order, to combat the rise of load management and ensure that basketball's biggest names are on the court throughout the season. The new rules, which have replaced the player resting policy, or PRP, introduced in 2017, are intended to promote player participation in the NBA's full 82-game regular season and prevent teams from resting more than one star player any given night, often referred to as load management. The PPP, which is solely focused on star players, does not stop here, however. It also dictates that uninjured, eligible players are required to suit up for nationally televised games, as well as the entirety of the new in-season tournament, which will begin in early November. It also prevents the shutdown of star players towards the end of the season. Across previous years, teams have kept their best players out of action for the final stretch of the regular season and have been accused of tanking or deliberately not trying their best to win games in an attempt to maximize the chances of getting a higher pick in the NBA draft. Examples from last season include the Washington Wizards shutting down Bradley Beal, who was suffering with knee soreness according to the team, for their final 10 games, while the Portland Trail Blazers filed Damian Lillard's 11-game absence under right calf soreness. Under the new regulations, both teams would have been investigated and potentially fined by the league. As a part of new NBA rules designed to prevent healthy star players from sitting out games, the NBA said that teams must refrain from any long-term shutdown. When a star player stops participating in games or plays a materially reduced role in circumstances affecting the integrity of the game. Bobby Marks, a former Nets executive, said the new rule precludes the Blazers and Lillard from agreeing for him to stay away from the team while Portland waits for a trade offer that it considers to be palatable. While it was unclear if either party was interested in that path, it's now off the table per Marks.
I think we're going to see how it plays out with Damian Lillard and James Harden, is that the days of shutting down a player that's maybe involved in trade talks is no longer going to happen anymore. Where if Portland and Lillard come to an agreement saying, we're going to shut you down, well, the NBA is going to step in and say, no, we're going to fine you, and we're going to fine you significantly here.
Teams must also maintain a balance between the number of one-game absences for a star player in road games and the number of one-game absences for a star player in home games, with a preference under the policy for such absences to occur in home games. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors all played in a home loss against the Indiana Pacers last season, before all being rested for a trip to Salt Lake City to take on the Utah Jazz 2 days later. Again, this would constitute grounds for an investigation by the NBA under the new 2023-24 guidelines. The final element of the PPP is retained for the PRP. Healthy players that are sitting out games due to rest are expected to be present at games and visible to fans. Adam Silver emphasized the need for participation across the whole year and stated that the regulations are a changed approach to reinforcing the notion that we're an 82-game league. Teams will be fined $100,000 if they are found to have violated any of these rules. A second violation would bring about a $250,000 fine. And a third would be $1.25 million. Any further violations would result in a team being fined $1 million more than its prior punishment. Aside from injuries and personal reasons, exceptions to the regulations will be based on a player's age, career minutes logged, and injury history, and must be submitted to the NBA a week in advance. Former player Richard Jefferson challenged the league-wide trend of NBA resting by telling a story of his father taking him to a San Antonio Spurs game when he was a kid.
For Christmas, my parents got me a ticket to go watch the San Antonio Spurs because David Robinson was my favorite player. One ticket. My dad, who worked security and scrubbed floors and did all this stuff, he dropped me off at the game, gave me $5, and I went in there by myself because my family couldn't afford to come to the game. So they knew that I loved basketball. And I was the youngest of 3 boys, but that was my thing. So they paid one ticket, and I sat in there. My dad went to a bar and watched the game and then came back and picked me up when the game was over. So it's like every day that I stepped on the floor, I remember my father. Yeah. I remember having one ticket and being there, and all the families and all the people that were probably just like me. If David Robinson wouldn't have played in that game, like, I get emotional thinking about it.
In an interview with Stephen A. Smith, Charles Barkley didn't hold back when asked if he thought load management was a big issue in today's NBA. Specifically, he tied load management to soaring player salaries and the bad optics it sends to fans.
I don't think fans get mad if you're making $30, $40, $50 million if you play basketball every night. But you can't make $30, $40, $50 million and then sit out games. I think it's disrespectful to the game. I think it's disrespectful to the fans. Because like I say, these fans are paying their hard-earned money. And like I say, especially, you know what's going to be crazy? In this next TV negotiating deal, we're going to have guys making $70, $80 million a year.
Yeah.
And they're going to be saying, wait a minute, you're going to make $70 million and you can't play basketball 3 or 4 days a week with all the stuff. I mean, they fly private. They got the best medical stuff ever created. And I says, you can't disrespect the fans making $70, $80 million and say, you know what, I can't play basketball 4 days a week. I mean, listen, it ain't like we should working in a steel mill, brother. I mean, it's people working in a steel mill every day. I'm pretty sure they tired too.
Yeah.
But they go to work every day. So yeah, I think load management is a big deal.
It's inarguable that the NBA status quo, some players frequently injured, others sitting out lots of games as a preventative measure, is bad for the league's foundation as an entertainment product. Imagine that you are a casual NBA fan who watches the finals and a decent number of playoff games. You may think about spending big money to watch the Warriors, one of the greatest teams ever, visit the mediocre team in your city. But you might not want to do that in advance, lest you get stuck paying inflated prices to watch Kerr run out a lineup in which Curry sits out. You might wait until the day of the game to buy a ticket, but by then you might have made other plans. It's not personal, and it's not a matter of any star player being in debt to some distant fan he's never met. It's just consumerism. And when it plays out that way, it cuts into the giant pot of money that NBA owners and players split up every season. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think about the new load management rules. Also, make sure you like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing NBA content.